Oh, hey there. How are you? My name is Mark Farzy. Remember me? We just had a week off. Well, I just had a week off when it came to taping Greatest Sports Legends Then and Now. A sixth season of the national syndicated show featuring the great Greg Murphy of Phillies fame. You guys know him and you love him. Many things fame in Philadelphia. Wes Hall did down there Monument Sports down in D.C., formerly NBC Sports Washington. He does the show. I'm on the show, of course. Otherwise, it wasn't just me taking off. With the great people at Rotfeld Productions. We had a great week of shooting. 16 episodes in what actually turned out to be 4 days. So by Friday, I was burnt. Friday was a day off. Friday was 16 episodes in 4 days, folks. It was a woof. Wow. And while I was doing that, the Philadelphia sports world decided to do everything. Oh my goodness. And we're going to go through it all in today's show, and how I have missed you guys, how I have missed sitting here, talking to this microphone, talking to you wonderful people, reading through your comments and all that. I have missed you so much. But I was keeping a log of all the things that was going on throughout the week, because I was like, I want to make sure I talk about this one, make sure I talk about that, make sure I talk about this. And really, it was bookended by the two biggest stories. And I wish either of them, because what was up there for a while, like the thing I wanted to rant about after Kevin Patullo being promoted to the offensive coordinator of your Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. After all that, I really wanted to talk about Nick Castellanos. And I want to talk about Nick Castellanos and really how he couldn't be more wrong, but I am glad he's so delusional. I'll make that make sense. And I wanted to talk about that at length, and I will maybe later. But Joel Embiid's injury has kind of taken that over. So I look at it as Kevin Patullo as the biggest thing for the future going forward. And then, as far as last week goes, and then I look at Joel Embiid's injury and how the Sixers actually have to think. They have to think about it. They have to think about shutting him down. I thought about it. I did my own independent investigation. I didn't need to talk to any doctors. I just needed to hear from Joel Embiid tell me that he's not himself. And I watched Joel Embiid against the Nets, and that was no bueno. And then I listened to the head coach, who I give every ounce, whatever you feel about Nick Nurse this year, any decision he's made this year, the best decision maybe the Sixers have made since, let's see, Jared McCain looks like he's pretty good. Tyrese Maxey's pretty good at basketball. Right up there with those decisions made by the 76ers, anyone in the organization, I'm going to say that Nick Nurse benching Joel Embiid in the fourth quarter against the Nets was the best decision. Right up there with those other ones. Because it sent a giant middle finger to the front office saying, I can't, he can't play, you guys. And if you're making them available to me, I have to play him up until that fourth quarter. Joel Embiid got benched against the Nets. Benched. An MVP caliber player when 100% healthy. Even 90% healthy. Got benched because the head coach thought at the level of play that he's at now, which is nowhere near MVP level, the level of play he's at now would have gotten in the way of Quentin Grimes and Gershon Yabusele and how the rest of that unit was playing. Joel Embiid would have been a hindrance to the way the Sixers were, quote, by the head coach, rolling at the time. Joel Embiid did not address the media after that game. So that's kind of taken over the Nick Castellanos spot, unfortunately. But let's start it off with your Philadelphia Eagles. Now, let me know in the comments if you guys saw the Super Bowl parade coverage that I had put together. We released Monday. I did a brief hit on the show, and I released that video. And wanted you guys to at least have that out there. I told you guys I was going to have parade coverage, so I wanted to make sure I had that. I did go down there with my wife. I did go down there with Lil Toots, and it was amazing. It was absolutely. First off, we drove down to the city in no problem whatsoever. I actually ended up, I was like, avoid parking in Fairmount. Don't park in Fairmount. I parked in Fairmount. It was fine. It was easy. I drove into the city. I would say we got there around 8:30, which I thought was going to be way too late. Drove right in to, it was about, I don't know, we got like maybe 3 blocks from City Hall. And then I just pulled over on a side street, found a parking garage, parked, and we got in and out of the city, no problem. We walked right into City Hall, or right up to City Hall. My wife works in the area, so she went off with little toots. I went around and interviewed some people and had myself a blast. And then I stood out there for the parade as it passed by City Hall, talking to more people, making friends, having a drink or two, in celebration with great jubilation after most of my recording was done. And it was absolutely fantastic. Those days, as I've told you guys before, those days are for us. The trophies are for the players. Those parades are for us. That's where we all get together as a city. And I told Lil Toots before we went down, I said, hey, I know you want to go to the parade tomorrow, and she had off from school. I said, I want to let you know what you're getting into. So I showed her a video. Again, she's 5 years old. Showed her a video of the last parade, the last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, which was only like 7 years ago. And I said, this is what it is. And there's people all over the place, people climbing poles, people jumping on top of dumpsters, and police, the police are all over the place. And I showed it to her, and she just stood there and watched it. She had no reaction. Great poker face on this kid. And she had no reaction. And after about showing her for like 2 or 3 minutes, I go, okay, so do you still want to go? And she looks at me and she goes, yeah. I'm like, that's my girl. So we went down. When the floats were going by, she was in a high rise, looking down on it all from a like a princess, and just enjoying it. And then she came down and we celebrated with the good people on our way out. It was awesome, and I'm so grateful. And I ran. It was so funny. The mix of people that were going with strollers and the mix of people that were just carrying cases of beer was beautiful. Like, when do you see that? It was a beautiful thing in the city of brotherly love. And I always say this. I said this about the 2008 Phillies parade because that was the first one I ever experienced. Never is the city of Philadelphia more so the city of brotherly love than on parade day. Never. Just complete strangers, making friends, having a great time. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So that was great. So after that, the Eagles decided to elevate passing game coordinator and associate head coach Kevin Patullo to their coaching staff as their offensive coordinator. So you got Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo. I was really looking forward to the interview that A.J. Brown was going to do following this promotion of Kevin Patullo when he was on with NFL Insiders on the NFL Network. And they asked him flat out about Kevin Patullo. And I was listening for one thing. And that was that he was involved in calling plays, that he may have called plays, that he was highly active as a passing game coordinator. And A.J. Brown said all those things, said both those things, about how he's basically been in on everything they'd been doing, about how he, Kellen Moore, and Nick Sirianni were all in on calling plays. That's exactly what I wanted to hear about this. And after listening to A.J. Brown, despite pushing the resumes aside of Brian Johnson and Kevin Patullo, I wanted to hear a great endorsement of Kevin Patullo, and I felt that I got that from A.J. Brown. Going back to the resumes, though, my concern with hiring from within or elevating from within, I know everyone wanted to get somebody in here that called plays. I don't need someone else to try to do what Kellen Moore did. And Kellen Moore was a guy that had come in here and kind of find his way in this coaching staff. I feel like he was given a lot of leeway by Jeffrey Lurie and by Howie Roseman to call plays, run the offense, be 100% in charge of the offense. And I feel like as the season went on, it became more, yes, Kellen Moore calling the plays, but Nick Sirianni having even more of a heavy influence on what those plays were going to be. Almost as if Nick Sirianni was heavily involved in the game plan, as we thought he would not be at the start of the year. Almost as if he would be more involved in calling plays, more so than just 4th and 1, go for it. Don't kick the field goal. Let's go for it. Other than things like that, it started to seem, and I remember Jeff McClain midway through the season wrote an article about how this 2024-2025 Philadelphia Eagles team looks a hell of a lot like the 2023 Philadelphia Eagles, 2022-2023 Philadelphia Eagles team that went to the Super Bowl with the way they were calling plays. The biggest difference was that you had a monster in the backfield with Saquon Barkley running the ball behind this line of scrimmage. So utilize that. And also, let's not forget that with Nick Sirianni as the head coach, if the players feel like something's really working and he's not noticing somehow, the players are going to tell him, hey, this is what we need to do. Same thing with Kevin Patullo. So going back to the resume. My fear in hiring from within was that you would just have another Brian Johnson, meaning that you would have a disconnect offensively. That was a big concern for me. There was an arrogance I felt in the Brian Johnson hire. Oh, this guy's never called plays at the NFL level? Oh, my God. Oh, come on. Hey, you got this offense. You got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, this O-line. You're fine. No problem. You call it. Bring in anybody. Bring in anybody to call plays. You're going to have success as an offense. So they hired Brian Johnson, and it did not look good. It looked bad. Now, there were reports obviously out there that Nick Sirianni had way more say in the offense than an offensive coordinator would like, way more input on the offense than an offensive coordinator would like. And that led to the not being in sync. And then at the end of the season, you're listening to Jalen Hurts after, just before Brian Johnson was fired. And you're listening to Jalen Hurts talk about how great Brian Johnson is, how he wants to run it back with Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson. And then Brian Johnson's gone. Nick Sirianni stays. Nick Sirianni admits to, again, allowing the offense coordinator to have fully in charge of the offense, defense coordinator fully in charge of the defense. And then as the season goes on, we see a lot more of the Nick Sirianni influence in this offense. So that was a little wild to watch Kellen Moore be brought here to run everything, but it was working. And I don't think it would have worked as well. Forget about Kellen Moore. Forget about Nick Sirianni. If the players didn't almost have to remind the coaching staff, hey, say, yo, he's not wearing blue anymore. He's wearing green. Isn't that crazy? Like, he plays for us now. Give it to him. And they did. And they dominated. And they won a Super Bowl. So there's a lot of arrogance I felt in the Brian Johnson hire. With this Kevin Patullo hire, or promotion, if you will, the biggest comfort factor for me is that he's got a history with Nick Sirianni. And he's been in the NFL since 2007. He had 1 year away from the NFL where he was at Texas A&M as an analyst. And I found this interesting as well. He came into the league under Herm Edwards as a quality control guy with the Kansas City Chiefs. That was in 2007. Then he worked his way up the coaching ladder and all that. And when Herm Edwards got fired from the Kansas City Chiefs, Todd Haley came in 2009. So Patullo was out. Todd Haley was in with Nick Sirianni on that coaching staff. So one replaced the other. Then the two, of course, were together with the Indianapolis Colts before Nick Sirianni brought Kevin Patullo over to Philly. So there's a lot of NFL experience in Kevin Patullo where there was next to none before he joined the Eagles. There's actually none with Brian Johnson before he joined the Eagles in 2001 with Nick Sirianni. The quarterback's coach is not going to call plays. A passing game coordinator could certainly call plays. So that when A.J. Brown mentioned that, I was like, yeah, okay, that's believable. I never heard about that with Brian Johnson before. So at least there's experience there. And at least there's some continuity. You don't have to get used to somebody else's tendencies. You know the guy. Oftentimes, the hires from within on teams that are ready to win now, they don't work, unfortunately. When you go with the Eagles and you think about hiring from within, it didn't work with the Carson Wentz era for a whole bunch of reasons. It didn't work with the Carson Wentz era. And I'm fairly certain history is not going to repeat itself in that regard with Kevin Patullo being elevated as the Eagles offensive coordinator. The endorsement of someone like A.J. Brown, who is not afraid to be critical, even hint at the idea that he doesn't like the Patullo hire. did not take that opportunity whatsoever. He endorsed it. That ultimately makes me feel great. The experience of Kevin Patullo makes me feel great as far as how long he's been in the NFL. And the fact that, look, I know everyone wants to focus on the lack of passing in the Eagles offense, but let's forget about quantity for a second and let's talk about quality. Jalen Hurts' numbers in the passing game, when it came to passer rating, when it came to yards per attempt, when it came to efficiency, all went up with Kevin Patullo last year. They went up with Kellen Moore. More credit as an offense coordinator, certainly. But when you're talking about just the passing game itself, I think the passing game coordinator's got a little something to do with it. So I look at it as a good hire. I know that people want to go with somebody that's called plays before, but I don't want the team to have to, again, get used to somebody new like they did with Kellen Moore. Was that a problem? No, they won a Super Bowl. So it's hard to argue against, an experienced play call at the NFL level. All right, how many Kellen Moores are floating around out there right now? I'd rather Jalen Hurts have at least somebody that is familiar with doing what Jalen Hurts likes to do. I'd rather have somebody that is familiar with what Saquon Barkley likes to do. I'd rather have somebody that is familiar with working with Jeff Stoutland. I'd rather have somebody that Nick Sirianni knows the tendencies of. I'd rather have somebody that is not going to stray with the great game plan, execution, and overall play of the Philadelphia Eagles, who only happened to win a Super Bowl last year. I am fine with this Kevin Patullo hire. Am I excited? No, excited means I'd have to have this guy's been innovative and he's proven track record elsewhere. If I don't have that, I'd rather have continuity. From a Super Bowl winning team, I'd rather have that. Certainly, he's going to be challenged with fresh ideas because the league. Like, here's the thing: when people talk about the league is going to prepare for you and all that stuff, go for it. Go for it. Try to stop it. I said going into the Super Bowl, the two biggest forces in the NFL are Saquon Barkley behind this offensive line, and Patrick Mahomes. Well, Patrick Mahomes, not a very good Super Bowl there. Saquon Barkley, you might look at the numbers and think, oh, wow, he didn't do anything. He still ran the ball 25 times, despite only averaging 2.3 yards per carry. He had an influence. It was a reversal. You look at the stats and you go, oh, wow, he didn't have a good game. Well, they were doing everything to stop him and allow Jalen Hurts to do his thing. Jalen Hurts doing his thing, unfortunately, doesn't add to the stats of Saquon Barkley. Much like when Jalen Hurts checks down and sees what the defense is doing, reads what the defense is doing, and goes, it would be better to run here. It gives the ball to Saquon and he rattles off a 60-yard run. There's no stat that goes in Jalen Hurts' category. Jalen Hurts' column, I should say. Oh, wow, look at how great Jalen Hurts was. No, it's just efficiency on the offense, which a lot of times comes down to the quarterback and his smarts as well as his ability. So for me, I'd rather have an offensive coordinator that's going to be used to that, going to be knowing what this offense does well, and not being afraid to unleash the fury. So for me, I'm good. Kevin Patullo hire. Also, a guy with the experience that he has in the NFL. Here's one thing where I will copy the arrogance of the previous hire under Brian Johnson. Or before Kellen Moore, previous promotion from within. Oof. You really got to have a bad head on your shoulders to mess this up. And now, I'm not blaming Brian Johnson for the demise of the Eagles 2 years ago. Not at all. But everything went wrong at the end of that season. That's not all on Brian Johnson. But if it is going to be just one bad coaching promotion, you really got to be terrible. Like god awful, historically terrible to mess up what the Eagles were able to do as an offense last season and not be able to have similar, at least, production than you had last year when you take the field again next year. I saw negative comments. I saw people posting about, what play calling experience. Yeah, I would love to have play calling experience. To know that he at least was involved in that and calling some plays last year, according to A.J. Brown, that makes me feel a little bit better. Is it somebody who was in the position of offensive coordinator and calling plays for a team 100% of the time almost? No. But other than that, I think this is the next best thing. But the huge advantage, again, that he has is familiarity. The huge advantage that he has is the continuity and knowing what works so well with this offense. Now, it will come down to what the fresh ideas will be. So I look forward to seeing what Kevin Patullo brings to the table there. In the past, Nick Sirianni has spoken glowingly about him. Kevin Patullo has talked glowingly about Nick Sirianni and their time together, even with the Indianapolis Colts and coming over to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I am curious of one thing. And this goes on the negative side of things. One thing that will be in the back of my mind, and I did this with Vic Fangio. I love the Vic Fangio hire, but I did talk about the one thing that lurks in the deep, dark recesses of my brain where my negative thoughts lie. Vic Fangio hire, I went, okay, hopefully this isn't just some cush retirement gig where he could just be close to his family but still coach and still get that paycheck. It wasn't at all. He accelerated. He was fantastic, as we all know. So with the Kevin Patullo hire, here's the one thing, although I'm in support of, here's the one thing that if we're midway through next season, I'm going to look back on and go, I knew that was fishy. And here's what it is. In 2003, the Eagles needed an offensive coordinator. They had Brian Johnson on the staff after Shane Steichen moved on. They had Brian Johnson, who was a quarterback's coach. And then they had Kevin Patullo, who was he was a passing game coordinator. They had to choose between Brian Johnson and Kevin Patullo. And they chose Brian Johnson. Why? What happened, despite all the NFL experience that Kevin Patullo had versus Brian Johnson in 2003, who only had 2 previous years of NFL experience, versus Kevin Patullo, who had about a decade of NFL experience. Why did they choose Brian Johnson over Kevin Patullo? That's going to be haunting me if, for some crazy reason, which I don't think is going to happen, if next season, for whatever reason, is a dud. Oh, that's why they didn't hire him. That's why they chose Brian Johnson over this guy in 2023. Now, the other explanation to that, if just to go into that rabbit hole for a second, the other explanation to that would be the idea that it was Jalen Hurts banging the drum for a guy that he's known since he was 4 years old. That would be the reason. But hopefully it's not. And hopefully everything's great. And hopefully Kevin Patullo is awesome. And I think he will be. And I think this offense will continue to cook. I know football season just ended. I know I just peeled confetti off my bald head. But I got reason to believe, as I think we all do, that the Philadelphia Eagles ain't going anywhere. They're going to have a nice extended stay at the mountaintop, I believe. Now, there's a word that's out there, and it's a D word. The word is dynasty. Over the next 6 months, whatever, when it comes to a dynasty and using that word to describe what the Eagles could be doing, like, I ain't there yet. I know it's so available. I know that they have the chance with a young team, a young quarterback. They seem to have stability at the head coaching ranks, at least. And I don't think Vic Fangio is going to be going anywhere. I'm haunted by something in our Philadelphia somewhat recent past. And that is when the Philadelphia Phillies won the World Series in 2008, that was going to be a dynasty. You had a young Jimmy Rollins, a young Chase Utley, a young Ryan Howard, a young Cole Hamels. Like, that was going to be a dynasty. Young stars that had already won a World Series. And, oh, man, that was just going to be the beginning. And it wasn't. It was a great run with 2 World Series appearances, winning 1. But as we all know, the history lesson, every year you took a step backwards. So I don't believe in jinxes. I'm not that superstitious, But when it comes to a dynasty potentially with the Philadelphia Eagles, I've already been burned in the past by a team that I absolutely loved. I do look at this team, though, and I just think they are just such a complete team that it's the potential is certainly there. I don't blame anybody for talking about it. I don't blame anybody for mentioning it, but it's one Super Bowl. For me, dynasties don't talk until you got 2 back-to-back in the pocket. That's the way I look at it. So let me know in the comments how you guys are feeling about the Kevin Patullo hire. And also let me know if you guys were able to catch the Super Bowl parade coverage that I unleashed on last Monday, a week ago today. Let me know if you guys caught that. Let's go to Joel Embiid. What are we doing here? So Joel Embiid has the injury last year in the playoffs, battles through, and I gave him every ounce of credit for that. That he was at like 70% and still was the only reason that the Sixers were able to force a game 6 with the Knicks. So then it goes into the offseason and he plays in the Olympics. And I told you guys at the time, hey, it'll be good that he's playing basketball. Good for him that he can play basketball. This is great. He'll come into next season in shape. This is great. And then the week of the opener, Joel Embiid will not be available to play against the Milwaukee Bucks, I believe it was. Joel Embiid will not be available to play. He's not going to be ready for the opener, you're telling me? No, he's not going to be ready for the opener. But he played in the Olympics. Yeah. But he's not going to play in the NBA opener. Come on. Why is he going to play in the opener? Well, there's some swelling in the knee. There's an issue. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay. And at that moment, I had this thought. He forced himself to play in the Olympics because he knows that quite possibly there is zero chance that he ever wins an NBA championship. If he plays on Team USA in the Olympics, which he did, he's probably going to win a gold medal. He's got an MVP trophy. Now he's got a gold medal. He's not getting an NBA championship, at least not as the Joel Embiid that we have come to know here in Philadelphia, a guy that's a perennial MVP candidate. So he went and played the Olympics because I think he knows he's at the end of his dominant era of basketball when playing, of course. This is not factoring in the injuries. This is just the potential of what he could do on the court when healthy. I think he knew that he's at the end of that. So his last chance for that great moment of winning some sort of championship that may not matter much here in the United States, but matters to him. I mean, it really only matters if you lose. Oh man, how dare you lose? But you win. It's like, okay, good, you did what you were supposed to do. So Joel Embiid looked at it and went, I'm probably cooked. This is gonna be my last chance. Let's force it. Let's put all the eggs in this basket and get that gold medal. And that's exactly what he did. And he had a huge game against Serbia where he played 27 minutes and got 20-some points and all that. Everything else, he played 11 minutes. But that was the one game that I think the one thing that he looked at. He's like, I'm going to put all my eggs in this basket, win this gold medal, and then hopefully I can still do things at the NBA level. Nope. Is Joel Embiid cooked is the question. And, I mean, you look at him right now, he's all of a sudden going to get better? I mean, Charles Barkley was talking about it over the weekend. This is a guy that, is a 7-footer who is on the wrong side of 30, and the Sixers could be in trouble. Now, as far as in trouble, I really like what the Sixers have in Tyrese Maxey. I really like what the Sixers have in Jared McCain. Paul George, for me, is not a lost cause as somebody that could be a significant contributor to a team, but they still need somebody else. They need somebody at the level of what Joel Embiid would be. So I'm listening to, well, first off, I'm watching them play against the Celtics, and they just get absolutely annihilated. Then I'm watching them against the Nets. And good Lord, watching them against the Nets was like, why did the Nets look so much like the Celtics? They went up by 17 points on the Sixers in the second quarter. And then in the third quarter, I was just like, shut it down. It's over. Then in the fourth quarter, Joel Embiid exits the game, does not play in the fourth quarter at all. And the Sixers go on a 25 to 16 run throughout that quarter and actually make a game of it to the point where they took a lead. They tied things up late in the game, 103-103, thanks to Tyrese Maxey's corner three. And then the Brooklyn Nets had that tip in by, I think it was Nick Claxton, and they won 105-103. At the end of the game, Nick Nurse just flat out says, hey, Joel Embiid didn't play in the fourth quarter. What went on there? He's like, oh, yeah, I like the way those guys were rolling, so I wasn't going to interrupt. I'm sorry. Joel Embiid would have gotten in the way of that? You hear it, and you go, that doesn't sound right. And then, but you watch, and you go, oh, that's totally right. Nick Nurse made the right call. So then the latest is Shams Charania last night put out that Joel Embiid and the 76ers are looking into other treatments for his knee. They haven't officially announced whether or not they're shutting him down. Please shut him down. It's over. He's been getting injections throughout the season in his knee. Swelling has been a thing. Fluid has been a thing from what I believe. It's a lot going on with that knee. Shut it down. As a Sixers fan and someone who's been through the muck with all you guys about the process and the dedication to losing and being terrible only to abandon it and try to do a piecemeal job of cashing in the chips through, from Hinkie to Jerry Colangelo to Brian Colangelo to Brett Brown for 20 minutes, the McCall Bridges deal, good God. And then Elton Brand, Tobias Harris over me, to Daryl Morey. As someone who's been through it with you folks, this has been terrible. Absolutely terrible. The Sixers recently became, qualified for a bottom six pick in the, top six pick, I should say, in the NBA draft. I was telling you guys 2 weeks ago, I can't do another tank. Even if it's for a full-blown tank for half a season, I can't do it. What we went through last time was not worth it. Not worth it at all. If you would have told people that we're all in on tanking and all in, I'm talking about the Hinkyites. If you would have told them, hey, this is the future. Come with me, Mr. Scrooge of process past, and look at what is happening. Look what happened. Oh, all we got is Joel Embiid with a bum knee, but he won an MVP once? And Ben Simmons didn't work out, and Markelle Fultz didn't work out. Oh, and there was this Burnergate thing. Oh, and the franchise ended up quitting on Hinkie. Nobody signs up for that. We didn't make it out of the second round of the playoffs. We made it to a game 7 of the second round of the playoffs with Doug Collins. No, it doesn't go past that. That's what I was like, don't let the ghost of process past affect future. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to tank again. But then I was like, oh, yeah, you should probably tank again. Paul George shut him down. Joel Embiid shut him down. Tyrese Maxey, go be the best you possibly can be. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Go ahead and get that top 6 pick, please, and thank you. That's where I'm at. Sixers, man. Good God. And the fact that they have to think about this. Just take a break from thinking for a second. Let's do the obvious thing. Joel Embiid, we're shutting him down for the rest of the year. We got to get this knee under control. Well, I don't understand, really. And here's the other part of it. at the end of last year when they asked Daryl Morey about Joel Embiid playing in the Olympics. He handled it politically, but you could tell that he wasn't in favor of it. And my theory is Joel Embiid wanted to play in those Olympics, not just because it would have been a great experience, but because it would have been most likely the last of his great experiences playing basketball. And I know it's not for us as far as Sixers fans. I know it's not for the NBA. I know it was for, I know who it was for. It was for his son. Show his son that he was a gold medalist. That's a beautiful thing. I can't knock that. But what I can knock is that as Sixers fans, the people that have invested more than anybody as far as the success of this guy, we don't get to share in that, I guess, I don't know, selfish celebration, but well-deserved. But for Embiid, I think he knew he's at the end. And my theory at the time only looks more accurate now. October, November, December, January, 5 months later. So just shut him down. Please and thank you. Shut him down. I've told you about Kevin Patullo. I've told you about Joel Embiid. We talked about the parade. A couple quick things on the Eagles. Nolan Smith playing with torn triceps in the Super Bowl. Good God, man. He had surgery Wednesday. He suffered it late in the first half. He played 12 snaps, according to a friend of the show, Olivia Reiner of the Inquirer. Played 12 snaps. Nolan Smith, way to ball out, bro. Way to ball out. You ain't taking me off this field. Cam Jurgens, back surgery to relieve nerve pain in his back. Played in the Super Bowl. Played in the NFC Championship game with that back. And played in the Super Bowl. Now has surgery. Yeah, I'm just going to go win a Super Bowl before I have this back surgery. Sounds next to impossible, but the man did it. Cole Hamels coaching with the Phillies. Cole Hamels will be on the spring training broadcast here and there. That'll be good. Robo-Umps to make their debut. Fran Dunphy retires from the LaSalle Explorers. You talk about Big Five basketball, you talk about Fran Dunphy. Ivy League championships galore. A-10 championships with Temple University before going on for his final stint at his alma mater of LaSalle. Mr. Big Five. I had plenty of dealings with Fran Dunphy over the years. You talk to all these great, you talk to a guy like Jay Wright, national championships and all that. When a guy like that has tremendous respect for you, you know you did something right, and that's exactly what Jay Wright has for Fran Dunphy. And all the dealings I've had with him, he's an absolute gentleman. He's an absolute professional. Love the guy. And enjoy the retirement, man. You've certainly earned it. Mr. Big Five himself. Okay, now I'll get into this. So, let's see if I have this. Do I have this in here? I don't have this in here. Enjoy Vic Fangio making meatballs for a second. There we go. That's Vic Fangio making meatballs. All right. Nick Castellanos' mindset at spring training. Phillies have started their Grapefruit League schedule. They lost to the Orioles yesterday. Carl Crawford's Justin Crawford, excuse me, is going to be a beast, I hope. Okay, so, but let's talk about Nick Castellanos' comments from last week. Nick Castellanos came out and said that there is less pressure on this Philadelphia Phillies team. He's like, that seems to be, with people not picking us to win the division, with how good the Mets are supposed to be, with how good the Braves are supposed to be, people are looking at us and basically putting us as underdogs. He goes, that means less pressure. Nick Castellanos is delusional. I understand his thinking as far as, oh, these teams are supposed to be better than us, so whatever we do is gravy. All I needed to hear was the word urgency, and I heard that word exactly from Bryce Harper. Because I don't care where they're picked by national. I don't even care where we pick them. Like, do I think they're better than the Mets right now? No. Do I think they're better than the Braves right now? No. The X factor for me is how great that rotation could be with the Phillies. With Andrew Painter being in there, with Luzardo being in there, Zach Wheeler being out there doing his thing, Aaron Nola, how great this rotation could be. That's what I look forward to. The thing that scares the hell out of me is even if they're a wild card team, the bats just don't wake up. Whether it's Nick Castellanos in the NLCS from 2 years ago, or it's the entire Phillies, JT Realmuto in the NLDS against the Mets. Like, not getting hits is what concerns me. This lineup, all of a sudden, not producing. That's what concerns me. And last year, it certainly it was not all of a sudden. They rode the coattails of a hell of a start to the year to be able to make the playoffs by the end of the year. But Nick Castellanos talking about how this team doesn't have as much pressure. I like that you have that attitude simply for this. I think you're the type of guy, and I think this team, a lot of them are types of guys that grip the bat a little too tight when the pressure's there. With the exception of Kyle Schwarber. Nothing is keeping Kyle Schwarber off his goal when he's at the plate. But to think that there's no pressure on you or even less pressure on you is ridiculous. When I talk to fans, and I have the same mindset as a lot of you guys, the Sixers and the Phillies are bosom buddies right now. A lot of money has been spent. A lot of promises have been made, and there has been no delivery. And here's the other thing. Nick Castellanos goes from sounding like a guy that I'm like, that guy is totally right, I am with him 100%, to what the hell is this guy talking about? When they lost in the NLCS to the Diamondbacks, he was one of the first guys in the clubhouse after the game to come out and talk about how this feels like a step back for us. This is a step back for us. We were in the World Series and lost last year. Now we were only in the NLCS and we lost. Like, that's a step back. Blah, blah. So what does an NLDS loss look like by the Mets? Well, it looks pretty damn terrible. So even though those have been the previous thoughts of Nick Castellanos, I don't understand for a second why all of a sudden he can downshift into we don't have pressure because people are picking other people to be better than us, other teams to be better than us. Well, what about your own self-evaluation? Like, looking around and going like, oh, hold on, we still got talent in this locker room. We can still produce. I look around this clubhouse and I see the pitching staff that we have. I look at the lineup that we're able to put together. Yeah, we should be able to produce. I know other people are focused on what the Mets or Braves could do in the division, but don't forget about us. Like, where's that attitude? Instead of talking about not having pressure on you, that could not be further from the truth, because the only pressure that really matters is what the fans are doing at Citizens Bank Park. I would really hate to see an apathetic summer of Phillies baseball. Oh my goodness, that would break my heart. I am, after whatever we're going to go through here with the Sixers over the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, whatever we're going to go through there, I can't have an apathetic Phillies summer. I need an exciting Phillies summer. I need a promise-filled Phillies summer. That's what I need for my soul, all right? To listen to anyone in that Phillies clubhouse even reference that there's less pressure on them could not be more wrong. The pressure is only building. The pressure, yeah, it comes from payroll. But for me, the pressure comes from, hold on, you guys were so close to winning a World Series. And then, in similar fashion to the team I referenced earlier that only took steps backwards after winning a World Series, the Phillies have been to a World Series and lost. They've been to an NLCS and lost. The Phillies have been to an NLDS and lost. Like, we're not going the right direction here. What, wild card round bounced out? Is that what we're looking at here? Is where the Phillies are projected to end their season? There's never been more pressure on the Phillies and this era of Phillies baseball than there is right now. Never been more pressure to produce. So when I saw the pressure comments from Nick Castellanos, I was like, all right, let me not just read them. Let me actually listen to the media session he had at his locker room in the clubhouse. And he said, he's like, yeah, it's actually a good spot to be in when other people are predicting other people to beat us. And I'm like, here's the way, now stay with me here. Here's the way I can describe that. I'm almost glad that that's his mindset, again, because I don't want him gripping the bat too tight, thinking about too many things when he goes up to the plate, right? But he's wrong. But I'm almost happy for his own delusion. Like, if that's what you need to operate, you do you. But I don't believe you. Like, that's wrong. The Phillies have never had more pressure than they had right now in this era of Phillies baseball, of course. So let's just focus on that. As far as Phillies, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, who's going to lead off? The Phillies, for some, I don't know. Phillies win when Kyle Schwarber's at the top of the lineup. If that's the only stat that matters. But I do think they'd have a better chance of scoring runs if Trey Turner was leading off. And Kyle Schwarber was knocking in runs as opposed to hitting solo shots. Yeah. It goes against everything in my baseball mind to want Kyle Schwarber to lead off, but they win. It's the craziest thing. I do think they're a better team if, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. You can't explain it when they win so much with Kyle Schwarber leading off. But I do think, and the other thing is Trey Turner is leading off. What if he starts off the same way he has two of the last 3 seasons, where you're talking about a guy that has horrible at bats, is constantly in 0-2 counts, and then flails away, similar to Nick Castellanos to that pitch low and away. Like, that's not exactly the prototypical leadoff hitter either. But if he goes up there with a different mindset of being a leadoff hitter and setting the table, like they asked Bryce Harper about leading off, he's like, no, I need to see those pitches. Well, then Trey Turner would have to let him see those pitches before he gets his first at bat of the game. Edmundo Sosa playing in the outfield, sure. I like Edmundo Sosa, so if he's willing to do anything to help the club, then keep him around. Oh, man, Garrett Stubbs. Love Garrett Stubbs. There's no way Garrett Stubbs is the backup catcher on this baseball team, right? Like, Rafael Marchand's going to take that over. And I love Vibes guy himself, but JT Realmuto is going to have to take days off. I love I love that he wants to play every day, but you can't play every day and then have nothing left in the playoffs. And if he wasn't 0 for whatever it was in the NLDS last year, maybe I'd have a different opinion. But no, I'd like to have JT Realmuto hitting well come October. So Rafael Marchand, I would have confidence in playing 40, 50 games more so than I would Garrett Stubbs, for instance. Much as I love Vibes himself. Hey, let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app. Oh, wait. Up. The Four Nations happened in our week off. Amazing. Unfortunately, the United States lost to Canada for the championship. But these tournaments just remind me of how great the sport of hockey is. And how the NHL just doesn't capture it. It for me, it was wild watching Four Nations and also having the conversations about how to fix the NBA All-Star game. Like hockey, there's athletes and then there's hockey players. And there's a lot of athletes, don't get me wrong, that have the mindset of hockey players. Cam Jurgens, back surgery, but won a Super Bowl. Nolan Smith plays a half with torn triceps. Brandon Graham plays in the Super Bowl. 2.5 months removed from his tricep injury? Like, yeah, there's a lot of that. But that's the makeup of just about every hockey player. That's one of the things I always admire about hockey. So for me, you're watching these guys play for their nations. So I guess that's the only way that the NBA would work. Al Morgani, I always like this. He would always say this. Hockey does it. Hockey does it. Everybody makes fun of it, and then everybody copies hockey. So the hockey used to have the NHL versus North America versus the world. That was the All-Star game for a minute. What if the NBA did something like that? I think that might be even more successful than the NBA Cup, which is just stupid. But how do you fix the NBA All-Star game? Drives me crazy. Because here's how you fix it. The players care. Well, how do you make them care? Well, there's your problem. You got to make them care. That's sad. The one weekend you ask these guys to suck it up and play for the people that actually give a damn about their sport, which is the reason they make the money they make, they can't do it. And a guy like LeBron James can tell you 20 minutes before tip-off, oh, I don't think I'm going to play today. And I'm not even a LeBron hater anymore. I'm not playing today. Oh, okay. Thanks, LeBron. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Hey, now let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the concert, the game, the comedy show, whatever it might be, Game Time app has you covered. And how about this? You can even view your seat before you buy your ticket so you know the vantage point of the seat you're buying. You can also, how about this, use the Game Time Picks feature, which filters out all the fluff so you get down right to it. Instead of scrolling through literally thousands of tickets, you just see the best prices at the best seats at the best prices on the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, then get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's PHLSportsStation.com. How about Sky Motorcars? SkyMotorcars.com. Check out Brett's amazing inventory at SkyMotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how your wonderful people are doing over this fine week. Wine Niners Wine, hello. April. Good morning, April. Sean Kilrain, hello. T-Bro, what's going on? Welcome back, Farzy. Was going through dealer time withdrawal. PS Baseball is back. Go fight. Let's hope that's the case. Boughton, what's going on? Bought 316. What's happening? Bo 316. I always say your name wrong. I apologize. Good morning. No limit. Farzy, I got to call you. What are you going to call me out for? Sean Gillespie. Oh, here we go. What's up, No Limit? Sean Gillespie, gonna be proper do. Hello, Sean. No Limit. You ain't say what's up to Jacob Nation at the parade? I wasn't with Jacob at the parade. I just did my normal stuff. All right. Hardcore for all. What's going on? Solid Farzy. Great to see you capture the fans' perspective. A guy gave me and Sully beers and a bottle of Hennessy. Go Birds. Good for you, Sean. That's great. Mike Fuji. Hey, Fuji. What's going on? Sean Gillespie, too early to make any assessment for the new coordinator, but Super Bowl champs. Sean Gillespie had to remind them of Saquon. Just incredible. Right? Pin 9617. I agree, Farzy. Shut Embiid down already. No way I'm buying tickets to a Sixers game. I don't blame you. Stay home from the Sixers and just watch me on Locked On Sports Philadelphia. That's all you need. It's 30 minutes. Recapping whatever happened in the Sixers game. Tate, what's going on? Welcome back, everybody. Nice to have you. April, hello again. Saying good morning to everybody. B. Costello. Embiid, 8 years in the league, still doesn't know how to play center correctly. You know, I'm not one, B, that gets mad at three-point attempts by Joel Embiid. I am mad when it seems like that's all he's doing because he can't do anything else. Like, when he goes top of the key to top of the key just to shorten the court so he doesn't have to run it, that's a problem. Brian Johnson had more experience with Hurts at the time. Yes, he absolutely did. Knew him forever. Absolutely. But in terms of coaching overall, certainly far and away, Kevin Patullo. Hardcore for all. I think the offense with RPOs built in runs itself. Offensive coordinator is only a figurehead. Jalen does it. Well, again, look, I don't want to make it seem like I'm blaming Brian Johnson for the demise of 2023 because I'm certainly not. But, man, things got way too predictable. And I remember D. Gunn talking to people in the locker room saying how the offense became predictable. Hardcore for all. Again, words like dynasty happen, but are not actually controlled by the players. Play and stay healthy is the name of the game. So true. So true. A lot of it's on the players. Absolutely. Got to perform. But you also have to be available to perform. And as the old saying goes, availability is the best ability. Steroid Yankees 2009. Right? When will the Sixers finally fire Morey? I keep telling you guys, he drafted Maxey and he drafted Jared McCain. They brought in Gershon, who's a player. Not that he's on the level of those guys, but I don't see them firing Daryl Morey anytime soon. Now, should they fire Daryl Morey? Here's where I'm at. The Sixers need to sell the team. That's where I'm at. So you're at Morey. I'm at Josh Harris. This horrendous ownership group. Just what are we doing? It's amazing to me. And I've listed off all the infractions many times over. But honestly, if we were a city and we had a vote, if that's how it worked, Josh Harris would be out of there. Harris Blitzer would be out of there in a heartbeat. And this is before the stadium debacle, how they handled it. Brian, what's going on, Farzy? Welcome back, my friend. Hope all is well. All is great. Thank you so much. Flyers, 25, 26, and 7. Wings, 5 and 6. Yeah, Wings have hit a bit of a schneid. Philly spring trading. The Sixers trade Harris. There you go. Oh, Trader Harris, yeah. Joel is absolutely cooked, says April. I would agree. Paul George is washed and horrible signing, Joe Whip. Yep. Mark, Paul George doesn't even try. Yeah, I'm apologizing for the cape. No worries at all. Here's the thing with Paul George. If, far and away, you have, if you're choosing one or the other, I'm choosing Paul George over Joel Embiid. But because I think Paul George, again, can be a contributor. I think Joe's just done. But he showed a hell of a lot more intent in the fourth quarter. He actually came out of the gates playing well against the Celtics. I don't know. They're running together now. I don't know. Either way, none are doing it for you. Evidently, the team thinks Embiid doesn't need surgery right away. Yeah, that's adorable. It's cute to think that. That's what my 8-year-old little cousin thinks. Embiid will need a knee replacement as a very, and I'm agreeing with you, Hardcore for All, to be clear. I'm agreeing with you. Embiid will need a knee replacement as a very young man. Good God. My grandfather had that when he was 80. Bruce Banner, what's going on? Laugh out loud. Jonathan Harvey, hello. Men who should be out of Philadelphia sports. John Tortorella, Rob Thompson, Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse, Paul George, Joel Embiid, Josh Harris, Johan Rojas, and Josh Harris. You said Josh Harris twice, and I'm for it. Great rotation with a terrible bullpen, undisciplined hitters. What could possibly go wrong? Dombrowski just refuses to improve this team. You know what? Actually, I had, now that these are running together, I actually did say this already. So this is just reminding me of something I said over the weekend. I looked at Taijuan Walker last year, and I was like, just shut him down. Just shut him down. There's no, he could do no good. Shut him down. If you're not going to cut him, if you're not going to release him, and he still do all that money, what you're going to pay him, then what benefit is to having him play at all last year in any role? He doesn't have it. And now I'm watching Joel Embiid, and I'm like, shut him down. You're still paying him all this money, 4 more years of this. Shut him down. The only thing that makes sense is shut him down, get him right if you can, and then hopefully he doesn't light the world on fire for a month and then breaks down again, which is probably what's going to happen. Anyone count how many times Farzy said, the Sixers will make the play-in tournament? Thank you. Yeah, now forget it. Forget I said anything. Forget it. It's over. Catch, what's going on? 50% of fans now are pissed at the Eagles for this. Lori WHBS. What do we? I don't know the reference. Maury, the broken clock, right? 1 second. That's funny. Brian, I agree. Farzy, sell the Sixers. Yeah, sell them, please. Sell them to Jeffrey Lurie. Actually, that's what I wouldn't mind. Shout out to my cousin Michael for pointing that one out. Oh, Jeffrey Lurie wants to buy the Celtics. How about he buys the Sixers and Josh Harris buys the Celtics? I'm like, yes, please. Yes, please. Because then I know the Celtics will only go one direction. Anyway, Thanks, everybody in the chat. I missed you guys while I was away taping Greatest Sports Legends then and now. Oh, Eagles refusing to go to the White House. They voted as a team. They voted not to go. I don't care. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Do I even tell you that the Sixers play tonight against the Bulls? They look to avoid 8 straight losses. Anyway, I'll be on after the game on Locked On Sports Philadelphia, so make sure you guys like and subscribe to Locked On Sports Philadelphia. As for your Philadelphia Flyers, they're coming off a absolute stomping on the Oilers, a 6-3 victory. I know it goes back quite a ways, but 9 goals in the last 2 games. They dropped the puck tomorrow night against those Penguins, who they beat 3-2. That was just before the break, I believe. Yeah, they've only played 1 game since the break. And yesterday was the Flyers' Wives Carnival. Well, that's nice. No dunk tank for me this year, unfortunately. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzy. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow. So great to be back with you guys doing the show. Much appreciated. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. Catch you guys tonight after the Sixers game on Locked On Sports Philadelphia. Ugh. Exactly how I feel, Vic. Exactly how I feel. See you guys.